So Kelly, thank you very much for taking this podcast interview with us. I'm glad we are speaking today. For the audience, why don't you start talking about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
My name is Kelly Looney. I'm a SVP of Engineering for Tide Platform Limited, Tide.co, which is a financial services provider for small businesses in multiple markets worldwide. We're currently operating and a leader in the UK and also in India.
Wonderful.
My role at Tide is I have engineering responsibilities, building products, as well as the cloud engineering part of the company, so the kind of platform upon which we deliver our products, as well as our production services and production support and QA.
Very wonderful. And I also know you had some stint at the platform side with AWS long back, right?
Yes. Before joining Tide, I had spent almost 4 years at AWS working with our DevOps partners all over the world, which that's a huge part of AWS's business, is our DevOps SI partners and vendors, as well as actually a part of the consulting organization at AWS, helping AWS customers modernize their software and move to a kind of a DevOps sort of model.
Very nice. See, that's one thing when I spoke to you last time, I was so impressed that you are advising customers for when the cloud world is improving and maybe the adoptions were increasing, and you were part of probably the largest hyperscaler at that time. Now there are questions, who is the bigger guy? But all said and done, AWS did fantastic job. And you moved on to the customer running the same thing. Where do you see the difference? Earlier you were advising, now you're running it.
I think of it as advising versus doing, and it's been a pattern in my career. I go back and forth between those two things. It seems as if I spend some time actually doing, and then I am interested in going back into consulting, and then the transverse as well. So the differences, I think that you really can learn a lot by actually being responsible, for getting these things done, and being, answerable to regulatory agencies and everything else. So to me, I learn a lot whenever I'm actually building product, building services, and kind of moving forward. It's a really different way of looking at things. On the other hand, when you're a part of the cloud vendor, or you're a consultant, there's a lot of things you can learn there as well. So it's like two different learning environments, really. One, you're really tapping into all the technology that might be of use. And then when you go into the product company or the service company, it's really where the rubber hits the road, and it's how will these things actually work to solve our real problems right now. And that's something that I really enjoy.
I like it. I love it, actually, because you for a couple of years, you do meet a lot of influencers, educate them what's happening in the market, and then you join and start delivering it. Fantastic. So that's a great composition for a long career for you.
Yeah, it's been a long career already, and I'm going to try to keep it going for a while longer. And I certainly enjoy, every time I go around and do things like that, it's a source of new stories and new material that I can use to help others that are out there. And that's something that I also enjoy.
Okay. Good. I'm glad. For today, I thought with your vast experience, let's break it down into 2 or 3 segments for the audience. The number one is, as you said, Kelly, your current world, you're part of the FinTech product firm, geographically UK-centric, but now expanding in India. You're working from US, and so the company is deploying the products globally. So for a fintech firm, highly cloud native, what could be the couple of nuances you felt, and you will talk to the audience for that? They'll be all ears to listen from you.
Yeah, I think it's kind of it's a unique challenge. You oftentimes think about doing something from the cloud enables you to maybe build something once and make it available worldwide. That's
Right.
what you'll see with CDNs and things like that. But when you're talking about fintech, especially one that's dealing with businesses in different locales around the world, they each have completely different regulatory and legal environments that they're in. So your software has to comply to a different set of rules in each place. And on top of that, you have data residency requirements that you have to deal with in a big way. So for us, what we have to do at Tide is build our software once and then actually run it in the different locales that we need, or the different regions that we need to service our customers in, such that we can comply with the legal rules, regulatory requirements kind of in that area. So it's really a matter of building the software and then stamping it out in different parts of the world where it's going to service those customers, and then building the software that's unique to that environment. So every version, every copy of our software becomes unique because we're adding what's special for that market. And cloud ends up being just as useful because the cloud lets us put the software in all those environments, and then we do everything we can to leverage the things that are common to make ourselves as efficient as possible.
So go ahead, please. Sorry.
The one other thing I'd add on top of that is that we have different partners in each one of these locales that we need to deal with, each one of these regions, and we need different sets of APIs to work with each one of them such that we can ensure we provide a good customer experience in each place.
Wonderful. I was about to ask that. Now the platforms are giving you the basic environment, qualified, secure, compliant ones for each region. Then you pick the right partners to deliver it to the consumer base. Fantastic.
Absolutely. And
yeah, go ahead.
We do that through a variety of means. I mean, obviously there's sort of business qualifications, but then the other thing we'll do is sort of technical assessments and how good are their APIs and what kinds of an SLA can they adhere to, things along those lines. And there's cases where for a particular function that we need, we'll have several partners so that we don't have to depend on just one in case they have some sort of problems. It doesn't bring our whole system down. So we're able to, have, I would say in some cases partners and backup partners, or we'll spread the risk across several.
Okay, and you rightly came into the risk side of execution. I know you came out of AWS very recently, and you're a large AWS user, you mentioned to me.
Yeah.
But with this proliferation of services by AWS themselves, 5 years back, they may have 50 or a small double digit. They are now 300 or 400 for you solving the issue. Now, equally, Azure, either hyperscalers are not keeping quite either. So it's a tough task for you to look at your own provider, look at the competitive things, and where do you draw the line? In this area, I may look for an alternative. In this area, no, I don't want to look for an alternative. My provider is very good. Do you make such choices when you look at the strategy for cloud components?
Absolutely. It's quite complicated just to keep track of all the services you're using and you might be able to use, and kind of weighing the differences. And particularly, we actually work to some extent with all three of the major cloud providers, but mostly with AWS. I'd say the vast majority is with AWS, and so these comments to some extent, apply to all three, but with AWS, I would say in particular, and that's where I've gotten most of my background and experience. They're super aggressive about providing new value to customers and finding ways to get more for less. And we really appreciate that. And so, I mean, it's not unusual at all for us in an interaction with our AWS kind of account team to find new ways to save money, new ways to get more efficient, new ways to get more scale or improve security. And it takes a significant amount of time just to keep track of everything that we might want to use, which things we need to evaluate, and so forth. Now, it's kind of funny. Each of the companies kind of does things their own way. Certainly, AWS gets out there into the marketplace with new services. They'll go with a very kind of a simple first version quite often. And so, what we've learned over the years is that we don't always jump first. We don't always take the very first iteration. Maybe we'll let a few other customers work with that brand new service, but we're very confident that AWS will end up getting it right. Okay. And because they've got a great track record of doing that. And so we will carefully watch what's going on and then decide when's the right time to start using a particular a new service or new offering that's out there.
Wonderful, Kelly. With that being said, now you have global teams all over the world. How are you organized? How do you where do you learn from? How do you get guidance from your team? And where do you make your decisions? How large is your group? How are you organized?
Our whole company, we've been growing rapidly, and I've been with Tide for a little over 2 years now. We're about at 2,000 people now with a engineering organization that's I'd say about a third of that. And it's probably doubled in size in the time that I've been with the company. So we've been going through kind of rapid growth, and we're headquartered in the UK in London, but we also have significant development resources in Sofia, Bulgaria. It's one of our other engineering offices, and we have people all over Europe that kind of work through that office, and then another engineering center in Hyderabad, India. Great. And that's probably over half of our staff's in India, which makes sense because India is really a key market for us. We're over 150,000 customers in India, and that's only in the last 12 months. We're at about 500,000 customers in the UK, and that happened over the course of 6 years. So India is rapidly growing, and I think it will be very soon be our largest market, at least from a customer standpoint, number of customers, which we call members. So it's a highly global team. We've got some overlap. Me in the US, I have the smallest amount of overlap with the rest of my team as anybody, which causes all sorts of schedule issues for me personally, but we won't go into that. But we do have some overlap between India, Eastern Europe, and London. We make great use of that. Our folks in India are usually really good about being willing to overlap schedules a little bit more with Europe, and that's nice, but we really try hard to spend time in India and to work to their schedule, where we can. And as I mentioned, we've got nice offices in each one of those places, and we have a kind of a remote-oriented policy in that we don't have a problem with people working from home, and our staff is now expanded to all over India, all over Europe, and all over the UK. We more use our offices, I would say, as kind of meeting places. way to have an off-site, a way to get together, and even though it's on-site, we'll have get-togethers in those offices and meetings to help get things done.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I think I want to be the first one to congratulate this extraordinary growth in the first year. When you do things right first, I'm sure the inflection, the growth, everything is going to follow. And maybe a couple of minutes for the audience. What's the uniqueness in your product which is making it grow faster, and what keeps you awake at night? Hey, because when you're in a growing organization, deploying product, consumer growth, man, you are always on demand. How do you keep yourself?
Absolutely. So a couple of things. One is that what's unique about Tide is we focus on a particular kind of part of the market that I think that's a little bit underserved and that other people don't focus on, although people are coming to it because it's a good market. I would call it almost like a micro SME. It's the relatively small, a mom and pop shop is another way you'll hear it referred to in the US. I don't know if that saying goes everywhere in the world, but it's the small companies that maybe don't have their own accounting department, don't have their own necessarily bank, and what they want to do is find a way to run their business mostly from their smartphones. And so we offer a whole set of financial services for a business all through mobile applications.
Excellent.
I talked about the different partners we have in each locale, each region. The most important of those is typically a bank. And so we have banking partners. So we are not a bank, but we have banking partners in each one of our regions. And that's kind of the first thing that we look at when we come in is establishing, who's going to be the bank or multiple banks that we're going to have in that region, and then look at other things like lenders, because we also offer credit sorts of services. We offer accounting services, tax calculation services, invoicing. So there's a whole range it's kind of a platform of financial services for these small businesses, and it's growing, all the time. That's what all of our engineers are doing, is adding more and more of these financial services, and oftentimes we're doing it with partners. In other cases, we're doing it just kind of on our own. So it's a ever-growing platform, and I think that's the thing that is really unique. I would say if we have a core expertise, it's making these things easy to set up, because it's really hard to set up financial services. Working with your bank and with a lot of the rest of these folks with all these regulations to deal with, it's not easy. And so we've spent a lot of time making it easy and making it secure. So those are the things that we really focus on.